Hello, I'm here to help with modeling with quadratic functions and equations. Number 3. A bus transports people from an airport to a city center. It transports 800 people a day and at the cost of €550 per person. Research has shown that for every decrease in 50 cents fare, 10 more people will ride the bus. Suppose there have been X decreases of 5 cents below the initial cost of $5.50. A, find an expression in terms of X for the bus fare. So the bus fare is the cost. So it originally cost $5.50, but they're decreasing it by 5 cents every X amount of times. Okay, so the original cost minus 5 cents X amount of times. For B, it wants us to find an expression in terms of X for the number of people who ride the bus in a day. So it started out with 800 people, and for every X increase, for every 5 cent decrease, 10 more people will ride the bus. So we decreased by 5 cents X amount of times. So that means we're going to have an increase of 10 people X amount of times. Okay, so for letter C, it says find an expression in terms of X for the daily revenue. Well, the revenue is like the cost times how many bus tickets they sell, or the fare times how many people. Okay, so we're going to have $5.50 minus 5 cents X times 800 plus 10X. And we can distribute this. So we'll multiply 550 times 800, which is 4,400. 550 times 10X is 55X. And then these two would be minus 40X, and then these two would be minus 0.5X squared. And so then if I combine like terms, I'm going to write this from decreasing to increase. So negative 0.5X squared plus 15X plus 4,400. This is our quadratic of the revenue. Okay? Now in part D, it says find the number of fare decreases that would result in a revenue of 4,500. So I need to basically set this equal to 4,500. And then, you know what I'm going to do? Since this begins with a negative, I'm going to move all of this to the right side. So I'm going to add 0.5x squared over. I'm going to subtract 15x over. And I'm going to subtract 4,400, which would leave me with 100. And now that's equal to 0. So basically, we need to solve for x. We can factor. We can use the quadratic formula. What I'm going to do is I want to get rid of the 0.5, which is a half. And I can get rid of it by multiplying everything by 2. Because 2 times a half is a whole. So I'm going to multiply everything by 2. So I'll get x squared minus 30x plus 200 equals 0. So now I have to think what multiplies to get 200 and adds to get negative 30. Which will be negative 10 times negative 20. So we have x minus 10 times x minus 20 equals 0. So x equals 10 and x equals 20. Okay, so basically they can decrease it by 5 cents 10 times or 20 times to make a revenue of 4,500. And that's because the original quadratic, this quadratic, is a quadratic that goes downwards. And so we're going to have 2 times the x's, 2 x's when y is 4,500. So to get a revenue of 4,500, they can either decrease it 10 times or 20 times. And then for E, find the appropriate domain for this context. So basically for the domain, the revenue, we can't have a negative revenue. We want our revenue function. We want this function to be greater than 0. So then, okay, and remember that this quadratic is going downwards. And so we need to see from what x value to what x value is this above the x-axis. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug this into my calculator. Okay, and I really had to adjust the window for quite some time. So this is what this is what my window ended up being. The x min from -1, and then the x max, I had to go to 150. And I just did a scale of 1. I usually leave the scale as 1. The y min, I did 0, and the y max, I did 5,000, and again, the y scale by 1. So then I can finally see it looks like this. So what we need to find now is we need to find the x value. And remember the x value is the number of fare decreases. And remember that this is the revenue. So we want the revenue, we want to have the revenue be greater than 0. And we need to figure out how many fare decreases will we have so that our revenue will still stay greater than 0. So to find this, I'm going to press second calc number 2, which is 0. Go to the left, enter, go to the right, enter, guess, press enter, and the x value is 110. So when we have 110 fare decreases, this is when our revenue is going to be 0. So our domain needs to be, we need to have less than 110 fare decreases so that our revenue will be greater than 0. Oops. Does that make sense? I hope that does. All right, have a wonderful day. Thank you.